My fingers ached from scrubbing. 3 hours of polishing mahogany shelves in a library no one ever used. But Sophia demanded perfection. Every surface had to
gleam.
every book spine aligned. The mansion slept around me, silent except for the occasional creak of old wood settling into itself. I squeezed the rag over the bucket, watching dirty water swirl, brown mixed with gray like my life.
2.
Years in this house, and I was still invisible. Mr. Fontanelli walked past me, every morning without a glance, as if I were furniture. Just another Brazilian, made cleaning up after wealthy men who played dangerous games. The window caught my attention. Movement in the garage below, barely visible through the glass.
I
Set down my supplies and moved closer, pressing my forehead against the cool
pain.
A figure crouched beside the black Maserati, low to the ground, deliberate movements. Not a guard. Guards walked upright, confident in their territory. This person moved like they were hiding something. My heart kicked against my
Ribs.
I grabbed the flashlight Sophia kept in the supply closet and headed for the stairs. My sneakers made no sound on the marble steps. 2 years of learning. How to be silent, how to disappear when the men had their meetings. The garage smelled like expensive leather and motor oil. I clicked on the flashlight, sweeping the beam across the space. The Maserati sat pristine and empty.
No.
Figure, no evidence anyone had been there at all. I circled the car, anyway, searching. Nothing seemed disturbed. The concrete floor showed no fresh marks. No tools left behind. Maybe I'd imagined it. Too many double shifts. Too many nights sending money home to Mama while she fought cancer half a world away.
But
something felt wrong. The kind of wrong that lived in your bones. The kind veterinarians learn to trust when an animal couldn't tell you where it hurt.
I
Climbed back upstairs. Pulse still elevated.
checked the time.
3:47 in the morning. Another hour before the day shift arrived, before the mansion woke and demanded its breakfast.
Sleep would be impossible now.
Morning arrived with Sophia's sharp voice cutting through the kitchen. The silver needs repolishing. Did anyone check the wine cellar inventory? Where is breakfast? I moved. Mechanically brewing coffee the way Mr. Fontanelli liked it. Dark roast, no sugar. Served at precisely 7:30 when he descended from his private wing.
2.
Years had taught me his patterns. He was a creature of routine, predictable in ways that probably kept him alive in his world. The other staff bustled around.
Me.
Maria setting the table. Carlos bringing in fresh flowers. Everyone performing their choreographed roles. I was so tired my hands trembled as I arranged the coffee service on the tray. 7:28. I carried it to the breakfast room. Set it on the sideboard. Checked the temperature one last time. Footsteps. On the stairs. Heavy. Measured. Mr. Fontanelli appeared. Immaculate in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. Dark hair. Perfectly styled. That scar above his right eyebrow catching the light. 38 years. Old, and he commanded space like a king surveying his kingdom. His eyes passed over me without recognition. I might as well have been wallpaper. He poured his own coffee, checking his phone with his free hand. Then his phone rang. He answered in Italian, his voice low and controlled. I understood enough to catch fragments. My grandmother had taught me some phrases back when I still believed I'd use my veterinary degree for something other than treating neglected guard
Dogs.
Brunelli territory today. His tone shifted, became urgent. Can't wait. Must arrive fast. He was already moving toward the door, keys in hand, talking about needing to accelerate before Brunelli changed his mind, about how delays weren't acceptable. And suddenly, I was back in the garage at 3 o'clock in the morning. Seeing that figure crouched beside his car, the connection hit me like ice water. The shadow, the urgency, the need to arrive fast, to drive quickly, to use the brakes on Miami's crowded streets. Don't start your car. The words ripped from my throat before I could stop them. I was running, dropping the coffee tray, my sneakers slapping against marble as I sprinted after him. Every head turned. Sophia's mouth fell open. The guards materialized from nowhere, hands reaching for weapons concealed under their jackets. Mr. Fontanelli froze in the doorway, his gray-blue eyes finally looking at me.
Not.
Through me, at me. What did you say? His voice was deadly quiet, the kind of quiet that came before violence. Don't start your car. My breath came in gasps. Please, something's wrong. Who the hell are you? 2 years. 2 years of brewing. His coffee, cleaning his house, and he didn't even know my name.
Camila.
Camila. Fontino. I work here. I clean. Words tumbled out too fast. Last night, 3 o'clock in the morning, I saw someone by your car in the garage, crouching down like they were underneath it. I went to check, but they were gone. And you're telling me this now? His hand moved to his jacket. I didn't want to know what he kept
There.
I wasn't sure. I didn't see anything when I looked, but you just said you need to arrive fast. You need to accelerate. And I thought, you thought what? Sabotage your brakes. Or maybe the engine, something that triggers when you drive, when you need to move quickly through traffic. The silence that followed felt like falling. Everyone stared. Sophia looked like she might faint. The guards had their weapons drawn now, pointed at me because I dared to shout at their boss. Mr. Fontanelli studied my face. I could see him processing, calculating, deciding if I was crazy or credible or a threat. Enzo. He didn't take his eyes off me. Get the sweep team. Full analysis of the Maserati now. Boss, she's just a maid. She probably now, Enzo. The command in his voice made everyone move. Enzo barked orders into his radio. Within minutes, 3 men in tactical gear appeared with equipment I couldn't identify. They swarmed the garage like ants on sugar. Mr. Fontanelli gestured to a chair.
Seat.
It wasn't a request. My legs folded underneath me, adrenaline giving way to shaking.
What
had I done? If I was wrong, if I'd imagined the whole thing, I just humiliated him in front of his staff, wasted his time, made him late for whatever deadly meeting he had planned.
Mama needed my job.
Needed the money I sent every month for her treatments. I couldn't afford to be fired. Couldn't afford to be wrong. What's your full name? He asked. Camila Fontino. How long have you worked here? 2 years. And I've never seen you before. Not a question. You see through me every day, Mr. Fontanelli.
I'm invisible.
That's how you like your staff. Something flickered in his expression. Not quite shame, but close.
Before he can
respond, Enzo burst back into the room, his scarred face pale. Boss, she's
right.
There's a device under the chassis. Sophisticated work. Pressure. Activated. The second you hit the brakes, he didn't finish.
Didn't need to.
Mr. Fontanelli's jaw tightened. His eyes found mine again. But this time, they held something different. Not dismissal. Recognition. You just saved my life, Camila Fontino. And I realized with terrible certainty that my invisible life had just ended. For better or worse, Matteo Fontanelli finally saw me.
His office
smelled like leather and old books. Expensive things carefully maintained.
He sat
in a chair that probably cost more than my entire apartment's furniture combined. Hands folded in my lap to stop them from shaking. The mansion had transformed into a fortress. Guards everywhere. Weapons no longer concealed.
Men
in tactical gear swarmed through hallways I'd cleaned 1,000 times, speaking into radios with clipped urgency. The bomb squad had cordoned off the garage, like a crime scene, because it was a crime scene. Someone had tried to kill Matteo Fontanelli and I'd accidentally stopped them. He stood by the window, back to me, phone pressed to his ear, speaking Italian too rapidly for me to follow. His shoulders were tense beneath that perfect suit, jaw tight when he finally turned around. Why were you awake at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Direct. No.
Preamble. Those gray-blue eyes pin me to the chair. I work double shifts. Night cleaning pays extra. I send money home to Brazil every month.
4. My
Mother. She has cancer. Stage 3. The treatments. I swallowed. They're expensive. Something flickered across his face. Not quite sympathy. Calculation. Maybe processing information. Filing it away. Why didn't you report what you saw? Immediately? I checked the garage. There was nothing there. No evidence.
I
Thought maybe I'd imagined it. Too many late nights. Not enough sleep. I met his.
Stare.
Would you have believed me if I'd woken you at 4 in the morning with a story about shadows? His mouth twitched, almost a smile. Probably not. I didn't have proof, just a feeling. And feelings don't mean much when I gestured at myself, at my rumpled uniform, at everything I represented in his world.
When
You're nobody, you're not nobody. He moved to his desk, pressed a button on the intercom. Enzo, I need a complete background check. Camila Fontino, everything. Employment history, education, family, finances. I want it in an hour.
my
Stomach dropped.
what? Why?
Because someone just tried to kill me using a sophisticated device that requires planning and access. Because you're the only person who saw anything. Because I need to know who you are. I'm not involved.
I
Swear I would never. I know. He cut me off. If you were involved, you wouldn't
have warned me.
You'd have let me drive away and collected whatever payment Brunarelli offered. But I don't take chances with my life or my organization.
So
I verify. Understand? I nodded, throat tight. Of course he'd investigate.
of
Course. He couldn't just trust the random maid who'd screamed at him in front of his entire staff. The intercom buzzed. Enzo's voice, rough and urgent.
boss.
Message from Brunarelli. He's claiming credit. Matteo's expression went cold. The kind of cold that made me understand exactly how dangerous he was, how carefully controlled his civility had been until now. Send it to my phone.
He
Looked at the screen, jaw working. Then he handed it to me. The message was in Italian, but short enough for me to parse. Did you like my gift, Fontanelli? Next time, I won't be so elegant. The war you wanted starts now. I set the phone down carefully. Who is Brunarelli? Someone who's about to learn what happens when you make this personal. The way he said it sent ice down my spine.
Edith.
Lived in this house for 2 years. Cleaned blood stains out of carpets I wasn't supposed to notice. Heard screams from rooms I was never allowed to enter.
But
I'd never seen Matteo Fontanelli angry before. Not really. Now I understood why. Everyone feared him. She looked terrified.
good.
She should be afraid. Fear meant respect. Meant understanding the gravity of what she'd stumbled into.
But
She'd also saved my life. That meant something. In my world, loyalty was currency. Action without expectation of reward was rarer than diamonds. My phone
buzzed.
Enzo's report faster than I'd expected. I scanned it quickly, absorbing details. Camila Fontino, 28, born in S. Paulo, Brazil. Veterinary degree from University of Salo. Graduated with honors. Immigrated to the United States 3 years ago on a work visa. No criminal record. Mother Anna Fontino. Stage 3. Breast cancer. Currently receiving treatment in Brazil. Medical debts exceeding $200,000. I kept reading. She'd worked at the mansion for exactly 2 years and 3 months. Before that, 3 different cleaning jobs, never staying anywhere longer than 6 months. Sent 80% of every paycheck home to Brazil. No savings, no assets, no life beyond work and survival. Sundays, volunteer work at a community center in Little Havana, teaching English, helping with paperwork, translating. For immigrants who couldn't navigate the system alone, a veterinarian working as a maid, a daughter sacrificing everything for her mother. A woman who gave her free time to help strangers, and I'd walked past her every morning for 2 years without seeing her. Your mother, I said, setting down the phone. How long has she been sick? Camila's eyes widened. You already have my life story. I told
You.
I verify everything. Answer the question. 3 years. That's why I came here. Better jobs, better money. I thought I could pay for her treatment. Maybe even bring her here eventually. Her voice cracked. But it's never enough. The bills keep coming. I made a decision. Quick, instinctive, the kind that usually served
Me well.
your salary is doubled as of today, and I'm adding a comprehensive medical benefits package. It includes coverage for family members abroad. Your mother qualifies. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language.
What?
You saved my life. That's worth more than money. But money is what you need.
So.
That's what you get. I can't accept charity. It's not charity.
It's.
Payment for services rendered. You're more observant than my entire security team. That has value. Tears filled her green eyes. She blinked them back furiously, pride wearing with relief on her face.
Thank you.
I nodded, uncomfortable with her gratitude. Generosity wasn't natural to me. In my world, everything was transactional. But this felt different. She'd acted out of pure instinct, moral courage that couldn't be bought. That made her dangerous. Not to me, to Brunarelli.
You can't go home, I said.
Not until we determine if Brunelli knows who you are. If he had an accomplice who saw you in the garage, you're a target. Fear replaced gratitude. For how long? However long it takes to secure the situation. You'll stay here. Guest wing, not the staff quarters. Enzo will assign personal security. My apartment, my things. We'll retrieve them.
Make a
list of what you need. Documents, medications, whatever. My men will escort you there tomorrow to collect everything essential. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Smart woman. She understood the reality faster than most.
What
Happens now? She asked quietly.
now?
I moved to the window, looked out at the grounds where my men patrolled with automatic weapons. Now I end this war before it begins. Brunelli made a mistake. He showed his hand too early, and he failed. That weakness will cost him everything.
I didn't tell her the rest.
That she'd become a piece on the board whether she wanted to or not. That by saving me, she'd painted a target on her own back. That I would protect her because she was mine now. My responsibility, my asset, my problem to solve, and I always solved my problems. 3 days of living in luxury felt like wearing someone else's skin. The guest wing had marble floors, a bathroom bigger than my entire apartment, and sheets that cost more than my monthly salary. I couldn't sleep in that bed without thinking about Mama in her hospital room in S. Paulo. Tubes running into her arms while I bathed in unearned comfort. Enzo knocked at 7 in the morning. Boss wants you ready in 20 minutes. We're getting your things from the apartment. I dressed quickly, pulling on jeans and a sweater Sophia had lent me. My own clothes were still at the apartment along with everything else that made up my small life. Photos of Mama, my veterinary textbooks, the cross-grandmother gave me before she died. The convoy was excessive. 3 black SUVs, 8 armed men. Enzo driving the lead vehicle with me in the back seat. Matteo sat beside me, silent and focused, checking his phone with that perpetual frown. This seems like a lot for picking up some clothes, I said. He didn't look up. Brunarelli
Knows I didn't die.
He'll be looking for weak points to exploit. You're a weak
Point.
Thanks for that. It's not an insult. It's a fact. He finally met my eyes. You saved my life. That makes you visible. Visibility in my world is dangerous. We drove through neighborhoods I knew well. Little Havana with its bright murals and cafes. The streets where I'd walked home after late shifts, counting tips and calculating how much I could send to Brazil. My apartment building appeared ahead, shabby and familiar. Enzo's radio crackled. A voice urgent and clipped. He answered in rapid Italian, his face going hard. Matteo swore softly.
We have a
Problem. What kind of problem? The kind where someone in my organization has been feeding information to Brunarelli. His jaw clenched. They know where you
live.
They know we're coming. Before I could process that, Enzo was shouting. Orders. The convoy screeched to a halt half a block from my building. Men poured out of vehicles, weapons drawn, moving with practiced precision toward positions I couldn't identify. Stay in the car, Matteo commanded. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone except Enzo or me. Then he was gone, moving with his men toward my building. I pressed against the window, heart hammering. This couldn't be happening. This was my quiet neighborhood, my boring life, my anonymous
existence.
Gunfire shattered that delusion. The sound was deafening. Muzzle. Flashes from my apartment building windows, from the rooftop, from positions I couldn't track. Matteo's men returned fire, using vehicles as cover. I saw Enzo drop and roll behind a concrete barrier. Heard him shouting coordinates into his radio. Then the grenade. A flash of light, a sound that felt like God punching the earth. The entire third floor of my building exploded outward. My apartment, my things, everything I owned that wasn't on my body right now. Gone in fire and smoke and shattered glass raining down like deadly snow. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only watch as Matteo's men advanced through the chaos, executing a choreographed violence I didn't have words for. It was over in 7 minutes. 7 minutes that felt like hours. 7 minutes that left 4 bodies on the street. All of them Brunarelli's men. None of Matteo's. Enzo pulled open my
door.
We're leaving now. I stumbled out on shaking legs. Matteo appeared, blood on his hands, but none of it his. He grabbed my arm, not roughly but with urgency that had no argument. Can you walk? I nodded, mute, then walked fast. Back at the mansion, I sat in the guest wing bathroom and vomited. Everything I'd eaten that morning came up, along with terror I couldn't name. Sophia appeared with water and wet towels, her weathered face sympathetic, but unsurprised. First time seeing the real world. Yes, that wasn't the real world. That was hell. For men like Matteo, they're the same thing. She pressed the cool towel to my forehead.
You should rest.
I can't. I need to.
What?
There was nothing left to do. My apartment was rubble. My possessions were ash. I existed. Now in the clothes on my back, and the debt I owed to a man who killed people. Before lunch, a commotion downstairs pulled me from the spiral. Shouting, not panic, but anger, controlled fury that was somehow worse. I found Sophia on the landing, watching the scene below. In the mansion's entrance hall, Matteo stood, with a man forced to his knees. I recognized the man, Luca, one of the security team. He'd been friendly, always nodding hello when I passed. Now he was bleeding from his mouth, hands bound behind his back. Matteo spoke in Italian.
I
caught enough to understand. Traitor sold us out. Told Brunarelli everything.
Luca pleaded.
Tears on his face. Words tumbling out.
He had debts.
Family. Threatened. He hadn't wanted to betray the family. Had no choice. Matteo
listened.
Then he pulled a gun from inside his jacket. Don't look. Sophia whispered. I looked anyway. The shot was clean. 1 bullet. Luca's body crumpled. And then there was silence except for my own ragged breathing. Matteo holstered his weapon, spoke to his men who moved to remove the body. Then his eyes found mine across the distance. No apology, no regret, just cold acknowledgement that I ran back to my room and locked the door. Hours later, Sophia found me on the balcony. I'd stopped shaking, but the image wouldn't leave. Luca's face. The moment before. The moment after. He was family. Sophia said quietly, standing beside me. Luca, his mother, and Matteo's mother were cousins. Matteo knew him his entire life. Then how could he? Because betrayal of blood is the worst sin in our world. Worse than stealing, worse than murder. Luca gave our enemies access to this house, to Matteo's life.
To you, he
Knew the rules, knew the consequences. There has to be another way. Prison, exile, something that doesn't end in execution. Sophia's expression was sad.
In
Matteo's world, mercy is death. Show weakness and others will exploit it.
spare.
One traitor and 10 more appear. It's brutal, but it keeps the rest alive.
I
Wanted to argue. Wanted to believe she was wrong. But I'd seen the aftermath of my apartment. Brunarelli had sent men to kill me, to use me as leverage against Matteo. In that world, what was mercy worth? The next days blurred together.
I
Stayed mostly in my rooms, venturing out only for meals I couldn't eat.
the
Mansion felt like a beautiful prison. Every window a reminder that outside was a war I'd accidentally joined until I heard the whimpering. One of Matteo's German shepherds limping badly in the courtyard. I watched from the window as guards walked past without noticing. The dog, massive and scarred, dragged his left rear leg with every step. My veterinary instincts kicked in before my brain caught up. I was moving, heading downstairs into the courtyard where morning sun turned everything gold. The dog saw me coming and tensed. Attack trained, probably, but also in pain. I slowed, reading his body language. Approached from the side, not hidden. Spoke in Portuguese, the language of my grandmother who'd taught me how to talk to animals. Easy, boy.
easy.
I just want to help.
It
Took 15 minutes of patient work. But eventually, he let me touch him. My hands found the problem immediately. Hip dysplasia, advanced and untreated. He'd been compensating for months, maybe years. The joint was inflamed, probably agonizing. With every movement, I was so focused I didn't hear Matteo approach until he
spoke.
"You're good with him?" I looked up. He stood 10 feet away, watching with those calculating eyes. He's in pain. Has been for a long time. The dysplasia in his hip is severe. I continued my examination, feeling the dog relax under practiced hands. Whoever's been treating him missed the diagnosis. They probably thought it was just arthritis. You can tell that by touching him. I can tell that because I spent 4 years learning exactly this. The words came out, sharper than intended. I'm a veterinarian, Mr. Fontanilli. A real one with a
Degree in everything.
not just a maid who got lucky spotting shadows.
Something
Shifted in his expression. Not surprise. He'd already read my file, but appreciation maybe. Recognition. Can you help him? I can create a treatment.
plan.
Anti-inflammatories, specific exercises, possibly supplements. He'll never be pain-free, but we can make him comfortable. I stroked the dog's head. What's his name?
Dante.
Dante deserves better than suffering in silence. Matteo moved closer, crouched beside us. Dante's tail wagged once, recognizing his master. Show me what he needs. We spent the next hour in the courtyard. Me demonstrating gentle stretches, explaining the physiology, describing modifications to his diet and exercise routine. Matteo listened with absolute focus, asking questions that proved he wasn't just humoring me. When we finished, Dante was resting comfortably in the shade, medication already administered from the mansion's extensive medical supplies. You miss it, Matteo said. Not a question. Every
Day.
I thought I was giving it up temporarily just until Mama was well.
But
Temporary became permanent. And now I clean houses instead of saving lives. Because you love your mother. Because I'm all she has. My father left when I was 12. No siblings, no extended family with money. Just me and her. I met his
stare.
So yes, I gave up my career. But I didn't give up who I am. He was quiet, For a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Lower, more
Human.
3 days ago, you saw me kill a man. I saw you execute someone who betrayed.
You.
And you think I'm a monster? I think you're a man who believes violence is the only language that matters. But I don't think you're right.
His eyes.
Narrowed. Explain. Luca betrayed you because he was afraid. Fear breeds desperation. If your world is built entirely on fear, you'll always have traitors waiting for the first sign of weakness.
But if you built something.
Else I trailed off, recognizing the futility. Built what? Hope. Compassion.
His
Laugh was bitter. I tried that once. My wife believed in mercy, in finding
peaceful solution.
Then Brunelleschi's predecessor killed her to teach me a lesson about weakness. So no, Camilla. In my world, strength is survival.
And
Strength means making sure everyone knows exactly what happens when they cross.
me.
The pain in his voice surprised me, hidden beneath layers of control.
But
Real. He wasn't just a monster. He was a man who'd been taught that monsters were the only ones who survived. I'm sorry about your wife. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't bring her back. Power does. Fear does. Strength keeps the people I care about alive. And who do you care about? The question slipped out. When was the last time you let yourself care about anything that wasn't strategy or survival? He stood abruptly. For a moment, I thought I'd gone too far, that he'd dismiss me or worse. Instead, he looked at me with something that might have been loneliness. That's a dangerous question, Camilla Fontino. Then he walked away, leaving me with Dante and the terrible understanding that Matteo Fontanilli wasn't just my protector or my employer. He was a man drowning in the same isolation I knew too well. And neither of us knew how to reach the surface. Sophia held up the dress like it might bite. Navy blue silk, simple. Cut, probably cost more than I used to make in 3 months. It will fit you. Matteo wants you ready in an hour. Ready for what? A meeting with the other families. Her expression was grim. You're his witness now, his proof that Brunelleschi tried to kill him. My hands trembled as I zipped the dress. It fit perfectly, hugging curves I usually hid under baggy uniforms. I looked like someone else in the mirror. Someone who belonged in Matteo's world of power and violence disguised as elegance. I didn't recognize her. The estate where the meeting took place made Matteo's mansion look modest. Men in expensive suits stood in clusters, speaking languages I couldn't place. Their women wore diamonds that could fund a small hospital. I felt like a fraud in borrowed silk. Matteo's hand found the small of my back as we entered. Stay close. Don't speak unless someone addresses you directly. If anyone asks about the bomb, tell the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. 5 families. That's what Enzo had explained in the car. 5 organizations that controlled different territories in Miami and beyond, meeting on neutral ground to discuss the attempted assassination of one of their
own.
The dining room was obscene in its luxury. Crystal chandeliers, china that looked like it belonged in a museum, servers moving with choreographed precision. I was seated beside Matteo at a long table, acutely aware of every eye assessing me, judging me, wondering what a woman like me was doing in a place like this. The meal began with polite conversation. Business discussed in careful euphemisms, territories, and agreements mentioned like they were discussing the weather. I picked at food I couldn't taste, trying to disappear into the chair. Then the doors opened. Salvatore Brunelleschi walked in like he owned the room, older than I'd imagined, maybe 50, with silver hair and a smile that never reached his cold eyes. He was escorted by men from the Versani
family.
Guests by arrangement I didn't understand. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Matteo's hand found mine under the table. Squeezed once, a warning.
Stay calm.
Stay quiet. Brunelli took a seat directly across from us. His gaze swept over me, lingering with deliberate assessment. Then he smiled. Matteo, I heard you had a close call recently. How fortunate that you survived. His English was perfect, accent making every word sound cultured. And who is this lovely creature? Surely, not the maid who saved your life. Silence fell. Everyone watching, waiting.
Her
Name is not your concern, Matteo said quietly. Oh, but it is my concern.
when
Someone interferes with my business, I make it my business to know everything.
about them.
Brunelli leaned forward. Camilla Fontino, 28, from S.
Paolo.
Originally veterinarian by training, though she's been scrubbing toilets for the past 2 years. How the mighty have fallen. Heat flooded my face. How did he know? All that. Her mother is dying, you know. Brunarelli continued, addressing the table now, not me. Cancer, stage 3. The treatments must be terribly expensive. I imagine dear Camilla here would do just about anything for the money to keep her mother alive. Anything at all. Enough. Matteo's voice was still.
I'm
Simply stating facts. This woman is desperate.
desperate people are.
Unpredictable. Unreliable. They'll say whatever they need to say.
Align.
Themselves with whoever pays the most. How do you know she didn't set up the entire bomb situation herself? A convenient way to get noticed by a wealthy, powerful man. My breath caught. The accusation hung in the air, poisonous and deliberate. Faces around the table showed calculation, doubt creeping in.
Was
This desperate Brazilian maid trustworthy? Or was she playing a deeper game?
or
Perhaps, Brunarelli said, voice dripping false sympathy.
she's simply a tool, a
Prop Matteo is using to garner sympathy, to justify whatever retaliation he's planning. Either way, she's just a maid, a nobody. Disposable. That word. Disposable. Like I was garbage, something to be used and discarded. Matteo stood. The movement was so sudden, so controlled in its violence that everyone
froze.
You will not speak about her again. Or what? Brunarelli smiled. You'll threaten me in front of witnesses in neutral territory. That's beneath you, Matteo. Listen carefully, all of you. Matteo's voice filled the room. Camilla Fontino is under my personal protection, not as an employee, not as a witness. As someone I have claimed. Anyone who harms her, threatens her, or speaks about her with disrespect answers to me. This is not negotiable. This is not temporary. This is permanent. The words landed like bombs. I saw the reactions, the understanding dawning. In their world, such a declaration meant something
Specific.
It meant I wasn't just protected. I was his part of his territory, his assets, his world in a way that changed everything. Brunarelli's smile widened. How fascinating. You've made this personal, Matteo. That's always a mistake.
The
Mistake was yours. Trying to kill me, failing, and now insulting. What's mine? What's mine? The possessiveness should have angered me. Instead, it felt like armor. We left before dessert. Matteo's hand on my back, guiding me through rooms that blurred together. I couldn't stop shaking. Humiliation and anger warring in my chest. In the car, silence stretched between us. Enzo drove, eyes carefully on the road.
I'm sorry.
Matteo's voice was low. I underestimated him. I thought bringing you would solidify my position, prove the assassination attempt was
Real.
I didn't think he'd destroy me in front of everyone. My voice broke. Make me sound like a desperate who'd do anything for money. You're not. And anyone with a brain knows that, do they? Or do they think exactly what he suggested? That I'm using you, or you're using me. And either way, I'm nothing but a tool. He reached for my face, fingers hovering near my cheek.
For a heartbeat, I
Thought he'd touch me. Then he pulled back, jaw tight. You deserve better than
this.
Better than my world, my enemies, my wars. You should be saving animals in
Brazil.
living a normal life where men like Brunarelli don't even know you.
Exist.
But they do know I exist now. Because of you. Because of me, he agreed. The pain in his voice surprised me. I've painted a target on you that won't disappear even if you leave. You're marked now. By your association with me, by
the choice you made to warn me.
there's no going back to invisible. The truth of it settled like lead in my stomach. He was right. I could never go back to being nobody. The forgettable made no one noticed.
Ide Saba Mateo Funtinellis. Life.
And that action had consequences I was only beginning to understand.
When
We reached the mansion. I went straight to my room, stripped off the borrowed dress, threw it in a corner, stood under a shower hot enough to scald, trying to wash away the humiliation. I was tolling my hair when my phone rang.
Mama's
Number. My voice cracked. Camila Manhilia. She was crying. Happy crying.
the
Doctor called. I'm being transferred to Miami to a hospital called Blackwell. They said there's an experimental treatment that it might save my life. They said everything is paid for.
everything is arranged.
How is this possible?
My
Hand tightened on the phone. What? They said a benefactor made arrangements. They wouldn't tell me who. But Camila, this is a miracle. I'm coming to you.
I
Get to see you, and maybe I get to live. I ended the call in a daze.
walked
To Mateo's office without thinking, without planning. He was there, of course, at his desk studying reports with that intense focus. I didn't knock. You had no.
right.
The words came out strangled. You had no right to make that decision. Without asking me. He looked up, unsurprised. I had every right. That's my mother. My life. You don't get to just arrange things without my permission.
I
Don't ask permission to protect what's mine, Camila. The words stopped me cold. What's mine again? That claiming I'm not yours, aren't you? He stood moved. Around the desk. You're living in my house under my protection, targeted by my enemies because you saved my life. You're mine whether you want to be or not. That doesn't give you the right to. It gives me every right. Your mother was dying in Brazil while you worked yourself to exhaustion trying to save her with money you'd never have enough of. I have the resources. I have the connections. I can give her a chance she wouldn't have otherwise. So I did. I'd do it again. Fury, and something else tangled in my chest. You're arrogant. You're controlling. You think money solves everything. Money solves most things.
but
That's not why I did it. He was close now. Close enough that I could see the intensity in those gray-blue eyes. I did it because I watched you sacrifice everything for her. Because you deserve to have someone fight for you the way you fight for everyone else. Because every time I see you exhausted from double shifts, sending money to Brazil, instead of keeping it for yourself, I wanna fix it. So I did. My breath caught.
why
Why do you care? That's a dangerous question. Camila Fontino. We stood there, the space between us charged with everything unsaid. He'd claimed me publicly, arranged my mother's care without permission, made decisions that changed my entire life because he decided I was
his to protect.
I should have been furious, should have walked away, demanded boundaries, insisted on independence. Instead, I whispered, "Thank you."
His
Expression shifted. Surprise, maybe relief. Something that looked almost like vulnerability. She'll be here in 3 days. The oncologist is the best in the
country.
If anyone can save her, it's him. I nodded, unable to speak past the emotion clogging my throat. As I turned to leave, his voice stopped me. Camila, what Brunelli said tonight about you being disposable. He's wrong. You're the least disposable person I've ever met. And somehow, coming from a man who commanded empires through fear, those words meant everything. The explosion came at dawn. I woke to the sound of shattering glass and automatic gunfire.
My
Brain, still foggy with sleep, couldn't process what was happening. Then Sophia was in my room, dragging me from bed with strength that belied her age.
move now.
Don't think, just run. We were in the hallway when the second explosion
hit.
the east wing closer this time. The entire mansion shook.
Pictures falling
From walls. Plaster dust raining from the ceiling. Mateo appeared from nowhere, gun in hand, blood already on his shirt. Not his blood, I realized with distant
clarity.
someone else's. Safe room, both of you. His voice was commander level, calm despite the chaos erupting around us. Enzo has the route secured like hell. The words came from some primal part of me that refused to hide while people
Died.
I'm not hiding in a panic room while your men bleed out. Camila, this isn't negotiable.
Neither am I.
Another burst of gunfire.
Closer now.
Mateo swore, grabbed my arm, half-dragged me toward the reinforced corridor that led to the safe room. Sophia ran ahead surprisingly fast for a woman pushing 60.
We
Were 20 feet from safety when I heard the scream. One of the guards. Young guy. Named Marco, who always smiled when I passed. He was on the ground in the entrance hall, clutching his abdomen, blood everywhere, pooling beneath him like spilled wine. I broke free from Mateo's grip and ran.
Camila, no.
But I was already sliding to my knees beside Marco, hands pressing against the wound. Exit. Wound in his back through and through, abdominal cavity compromised. I'd seen this before in veterinary trauma cases. The principles were the same whether the patient had 2 legs or 4. Pressure. I need something for pressure. My voice sounded distant. Clinical training kicking in over terror. Enzo appeared with a first aid kit. I ripped it open, finding gauze, medical tape. Not enough, but something. Marco was gasping, eyes wide with shock and pain.
Stay with me, I
Told him. Look at me.
don't look at the blood.
Look at my face.
His eyes found. Mine.
Young, maybe 25. Someone's son. I worked fast, packed the wound, applied pressure exactly where it needed to be, elevated his legs to counteract shock, monitored his pulse, his breathing, the color of his lips. Everything I'd learned treating animals, adapted on the fly to save a human life. The gunfire
Continued.
Mateo and his men returned fire from positions around the hall.
A
Choreographed violence I couldn't pay attention to. My entire world narrowed to Marco's vitals, his breathing, keeping him alive until proper medical help
arrived.
Enzo crouched beside me. You know what you're doing?
I'm a veterinarian.
Close enough. I met his scarred face.
He needs a hospital now.
The bleeding's controlled, but he's lost too much blood. Medics are 3 minutes out. Can you keep him stable? I'll keep him breathing.
Those 3 minutes felt like hours.
My hands cramped from maintaining pressure. Blood soaked through my clothes, sticky and warm. Marco drifted in and out of consciousness. And every time his eyes closed, I talked louder, demanded he stay present. You've got a
Girlfriend, Marco.
Tell me about her. He mumbled something.
Anna?
Her name was Anna. What's she like? Pretty smart. Wants to be a teacher. Then you've got to stay alive so you can marry her.
You hearing me?
Anna needs you to stay alive. His grip on my hand tightened. Agreement. Promise. The paramedic burst through. Professional and efficient. They took over, working with practice speed. One of them looked at my improvised bandaging, the positioning, and nodded. Respect. Good work. You saved his life. Then they were gone, racing Marco to the hospital. Through streets I hoped were clear of whatever war had just erupted in Mateo's home. I stood there shaking. Blood covered my hands, my pajamas, probably my
face.
The gunfire had stopped. Bodies littered the entrance hall. All of them. Brunarelli's men. None of Mateo's except Marco. And he was going to survive. Mateo appeared in front of me. His eyes swept over me, cataloging the blood. The shock starting to set in. Are you hurt? I shook my head.
Couldn't speak.
Adrenaline was draining away, leaving hollow terror in its wake. He pulled me against him without asking, arms coming around me like he could shield me from what I just witnessed. I should have resisted, should have maintained distance. Instead, I buried my face in his chest and breathed. He smelled like gunpowder. And something darker, but his heartbeat was steady. You shouldn't have run toward the danger, he said quietly.
Someone had to.
That's not your job. Then,
Whose job is it?
watching people bleed out because I'm too scared to help.
He
Pulled back enough to look at me. Blood streaked his face, a cut above his eyebrow dripping steadily. I reached up, without thinking, pressing my hand to the wound. You're hurt. It's nothing. It's bleeding.
Seek.
To my surprise, he obeyed. Sank into a chair while I examined the cut with hands that still trembled. Not deep, but head wounds bled impressively. I used gauze from a scattered first aid kit, cleaned it, applied pressure. His eyes never left my
Face.
Where did you learn that? He asked. The trauma response. That wasn't just veterinary school. My grandmother, she was a nurse in Paulo during bad
Years.
taught me field medicine when I was 12. Said everyone should know how to keep someone alive when proper doctors weren't available. The memory brought unexpected tears. She'd be horrified I was using it in a mansion, not a village. She'd be proud. You were fearless. I was terrified. Courage isn't the absence of
Fear.
It's acting despite it. His hand covered mine where I still pressed the
Gauze.
You could have hidden in the safe room. Should have, but you ran toward the screaming instead. Habit. Veterinarians don't get to wait for permission in emergencies. An animal is dying. You move. You act. You don't think about danger or consequences. You just do what needs to be done. Something shifted in his expression. Understanding. Maybe recognition of a kindred drive. That's what I saw in you from the beginning. His voice was rough. That instinct to act when everyone else freezes. It's rare, dangerous, and completely remarkable. The space between us felt charged, electric. His hands still covered mine.
His eyes.
Holding me in place. More effectively than any order. Then Enzo's voice cut through the moment. Boss, perimeter secure. 17 hostiles down. None escaped. We're clear. Mateo stood reluctantly breaking the connection. Casualties on our
Side.
Marco's the only critical. 3 minor injuries already treated.
We got lucky.
Luck had nothing to do with it. Preparation did. He glanced at me.
And
Having a veterinarian who doesn't know when to run away, I should have felt insulted. Instead, I felt seen. The next hours blurred. Police arrived, but didn't enter. A peculiar dance I didn't understand. Cleanup crews materialized. From nowhere, efficient and silent. By noon, the mansion looked untouched except for boarded windows and new security stations. I found Mateo in his office, staring at surveillance footage. The attack had been coordinated. Professional 20 men with military weapons hitting simultaneously from 3
points.
Brunarelli? I asked from the doorway. Who else? He didn't look away from the screens. This was retaliation for the dinner. For me claiming you publicly. He's making a point. What point? That he can reach me anywhere? That nowhere is safe? That everyone I care about is vulnerable? Everyone I care about? The words hung heavy. I moved into the room, closed the door behind me, stood in front of his desk until he had to look at me. I'm still here, I said quietly.
He tried.
He failed. I'm still here. This time, next time luck might run out. Then we make sure there is no next time. He stood, came around the desk. You don't understand what you're saying. This doesn't end, Camila. Men like Brunelli, they don't stop. They escalate. He'll keep coming. Keep trying until one of us is dead. Then make it him. You hate violence. You said mercy was strength. Remember?
I
Said that before he tried to kill you in your own home. Before he put Marco in the hospital. Before I had to keep a 25-year-old alive with field medicine. Because your enemy decided I'm an acceptable casualty. My voice shook. I don't want mercy for Brunarelli anymore. I want him stopped. Matteo's eyes searched.
Mine.
You mean that? Every word.
He reached for me then.
Slow, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. You're covered in blood and plaster dust. And you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. My breath caught. Matteo. I told myself to keep distance, to protect you by not letting this become personal. But it's too late.
It became
Personal the moment you screamed at me not to start my car. Maybe even before.
that.
In all those mornings you poured my coffee, and I was too blind to see you.
You see me now. I see you.
I can't stop seeing you. His forehead touched mine. And that terrifies me more than Brunarelli ever could. I closed the distance. Kissed him with everything I'd been holding back. Weeks of tension and fear and connection I didn't have words for. He responded instantly. One hand in my hair, the other pulling me closer. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, consuming.
2.
People who'd looked at death and chosen life instead. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes held questions. My room or yours?
I
Whispered.
Mine.
It's more secure. Even in this, he thought about protection.
It
Should have annoyed me. Instead, it made me want him more. We barely made it to his suite. Clothes discarded between kisses. Hands mapping territory that had existed only in stolen glances before. He was careful despite the urgency, checking that I wanted this, wanted him, wanted all the complications that came with crossing this line. I answered by pulling him down to me. Afterward, wrapped in sheets that cost more than my former rent.
his arm around me like a shield.
I felt the magnitude of what we'd done. Not the physical act, the
Choice.
I'd chosen him. His world, his wars, all of it. No going back now, he murmured against my hair, reading my thoughts. Did you want to go back?
No. But
I wanted you to have the option. I turned to face him. I saved your life because it was right. I'm staying because I want to. Those are separate choices. Are
they?
His finger traced patterns on my shoulder. You're here because of that. Morning in the garage. Everything stems from that moment. Maybe. Or maybe I was always going to end up here, and the bomb was just the catalyst. I pressed my palm against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Do you believe in fate? I believe in cause and effect, action and consequence. He caught my hand, brought it to
His lips.
But if fate brought you into my life, then fate has better timing, man. I credited. Outside, guards patrolled. Enemies plotted. Wars waited to be
Fought.
But in that moment, wrapped in each other, we allowed ourselves to believe in something other than survival. We allowed ourselves to believe in us. Rewritten ending. The dawn following our night together marked a new chapter, one that unfolded with both exhilaration and apprehension. Waking in Matteo's bed, the intricate silk sheets a stark contrast to my past, felt like inhabiting an entirely new.
Again.
The mansion staff, discerning and discreet, understood the unspoken shift in our dynamic. Sophia's knowing gaze, Enzo's respectful deference. From a ghost in the shadows, I had become a central figure, visible, recognized.
Yet.
Also undeniably a potential target in Matteo's perilous world. His casual yet possessive hand at my back as we navigated the corridors was a public declaration, transforming me from invisible maid to untouchable consort. Overnight, it felt like a strange victory, though the weight of newly acquired visibility settled heavy on my shoulders, a constant reminder of the unseen target it placed upon my back. Barely 3 days into this fragile new beginning, a brutal reality intruded. Enzo burst into Matteo's study, his face grim, bearing a video message from
Brunarelli.
It depicted a man, beaten and bound, a stark illustration of the escalating conflict. Brunarelli's calm, menacing voice demanded control of the port territory, threatening everyone you care about, before issuing a 72-hour ultimatum. Mateo's jaw tightened. This was a direct, personal assault. In the war room, surrounded by maps and hardened men, Mateo unveiled his initial
Counterplan a familiar.
ruthless strategy of overwhelming violence, anticipating collateral damage among the civilian housing near Brunarelli's warehouses. I saw the cold, calculating man who had executed Luca, willing to sacrifice anything for victory. I could not remain silent. "You can't do this," I stated, my voice cutting through the strategic jargon. These were innocent families caught in a war not their own. There had to be another way. I proposed an unconventional solution, leveraging my invisible network of cleaners, delivery drivers, and maintenance workers, the people Brunarelli never noticed, to gather intelligence.
My
Community, I argued, saw what his professionals missed. Mateo listened, a flicker of doubt in his eyes warring with years of brutal efficiency. He agreed, though with stringent conditions. I would coordinate from within the mansion, my safety paramount. His acceptance, though conditional, was a testament to the quiet power of conviction, a subtle shift in his hardened worldview. The subsequent 48 hours were a whirlwind of clandestine calls and whispered exchanges. My network of invisible eyes and ears proved its invaluable worth. Maria, Jose, Carmen, they provided intimate details of Brunarelli's routines, facility layouts, and security protocols. Information far exceeding what Mateo's surveillance had gathered in months. He studied the new data spread across the war table with a reverence I hadn't seen. "This is remarkable," he conceded, looking at me with dawning appreciation. "Your people notice things my professionals missed." My people, I corrected, were just doing their jobs and remembering details. It changed everything. His plan shifted from carpet bombing a neighborhood to a surgical strike, minimizing casualties, avoiding civilian housing. "So we're not bombing neighborhoods?" I asked, relief flooding me. "Not today," he promised, pulling me close. "You showed me something I'd forgotten." He called my network the most dangerous weapons in the room, but I corrected him. "We're not weapons," I said quietly. "We're
people."
That's the difference. His kiss was an answer, sealing our unexpected partnership. The intelligence, however perfect, bore the scent of deceit. Just as the strike was set to launch, a deep cover operative confirmed my gnawing suspicion. The depot was bait. Brunarelli's true objective wasn't territory. His sights were set on me, leveraging Mateo's affection as a weakness. A new countertrap was
Set.
Mateo woke me at 2 a.m., the tension in his eyes palpable. "Brunarelli is coming tonight. Here." He handed me a Kevlar vest, his demand for my safety.
Non negotiable.
"I can't fight if I'm worried about you." I nodded, the fear not for myself but for him. "Come back to me," I whispered. "Always." The attack came at 3:47 a.m., a maelstrom of gunfire and explosions. Brunarelli, committing his full force, walked directly into Mateo's meticulously prepared kill box. I heard the battle from the reinforced corridor, the sounds of my home transforming into a war zone. When Marco, a young guard, lay bleeding in the entrance hall, my veterinary instincts took over. Defying Mateo's command, I ran towards the danger, my hands pressing against his wound, a desperate fight for a human life. "I'm a veterinarian," I told Enzo, adapting years of animal trauma training to a human patient. "Close enough." I stabilized Marco, keeping him alive until medics arrived, amidst the chaos of gunfire, and shouted
Commands.
Mateo found me, covered in blood, but unharmed. He pulled me into his arms, a silent acknowledgement of the harrowing moments. "You shouldn't have run toward the danger." "Someone had to," I retorted, examining a cut above his eyebrow. "That's not your job." Then whose job is it? Watching people bleed out. Because I'm too scared to help? He saw it then, the same fierce, instinctual drive in me that fueled his own survival. Courage isn't the absence of fear, I told him. It's acting despite it. He confessed what he'd seen in me from the beginning, that instinct to act when everyone else freezes. It's rare, dangerous, and completely remarkable. The battle culminated in the entrance hall, where Matteo confronted Brunarelli. He revealed his trump card, an FBI deal, exchanging Brunarelli's entire empire for immunity. Just as Brunarelli buckled, one of his men seized me, a gun to my head. My eyes met Matteo's, and in that split second, I recalled Sophia's self-defense lessons. A sharp elbow, a twist, using his momentum, the gun fired, and Matteo fired simultaneously. The man fell. I stood, breathing hard, a mix of terror and fierce pride coursing through me.
Matteo turned back to
Brunarelli, now bleeding from multiple wounds.
He raised his weapon, the war's
end within a single shot. But he saw my face, saw the woman who had argued for mercy, for justice, for something beyond endless violence. He lowered the gun. Call an ambulance, he commanded Enzo, and call my FBI contact, Salvatore. Brunarelli is ready to discuss cooperation. Shock registered on Brunarelli's face. You're letting me live? I'm letting the justice system handle you. Camilla's hand found mine, a silent squeeze of approval. Someone recently taught me that true strength isn't about how much violence you can inflict, Matteo added, looking at me. It's about choosing something better when you have the power to destroy. 3 months later, a different kind of miracle graced our lives, Mama's arrival. Frail but alive, she embraced me, her eyes, always so perceptive, seeing beyond the surface. You're different, stronger, and in love, I think. Her gaze shifted to Matteo, who stood at a respectful distance. Is that him? The man who saved my life? Mama's maternal intuition, unclouded by the world's complexities, instantly grasped the profound bond between us, offering both blessing and formidable warning. If you hurt her, cancer or not, I will find a way to make you regret it. Matteo, for the first time, genuinely smiled. He understood. Despite Mama's improving health and our deepening relationship, a deep-seated yearning for self-actualization stirred within me. I love you, I confessed to Matteo in his study one evening, but I need to be more than someone you love. I need purpose, something that's mine. He didn't just understand, he saw the dormant passion, the unfulfilled purpose that defined me. If you could build anything, do anything, what would it be? The vision solidified, a veterinary clinic in Little Havana, offering free or sliding scale care, a true practice, where I could use my degree, help animals, empower the community. Then we'll build it, he declared, without hesitation. You want a clinic, we'll open a
clinic.
You want 10 clinics, we'll open 10. He offered the capital and protection, but the dream, he insisted, was mine. 2 months later, the inauguration of the Fontino Veterinary Clinic wasn't merely a ribbon cutting, it was a declaration of intent, a beacon of community empowerment. Standing before the cheering crowd, I spoke of dignity and compassion for the most vulnerable. Later, Sophia presented me with a petition, signed by every mansion staff member, requesting I be officially recognized as the estate manager.
They respect you, Sophia said.
Not because you're with Matteo, but because of who you are. Matteo, who had signed it himself, simply smiled. You've been running the household better than anyone anyway. That evening, in the library where this improbable journey began, we sat, planning expansion, dreaming of a future far grander than I had ever dared to
imagine.
Thank you, Matteo said, pulling me close. Not just for saving my life that morning, but for everything that came after. You've spent every day since teaching me how to actually live it. how to choose something beyond violence and fear, how to build instead of just protect. And I, in turn, recognized the profound gift he had bestowed: visibility, validation, and the courage to embrace my own power. You saw me when I was invisible, I countered, tracing the scar above his eyebrow. You valued me when I thought I was worthless. We saved each other, Mateo. That's what partners do. Partners, he repeated, the word resonating with a new depth. I like that. Better than any other label. Partners implied equity, shared ambition, mutual respect. Is that what we are? I asked, looking around the library at the books I once dusted without reading, at the window where a shadow had changed everything. Partners building something new. Outside, the mansion grounds glowed, protected by the empire Mateo had built through blood and strategy. But inside this room, wrapped in his arms, I felt the future taking shape, not just survival, not just safety, but something better. A future built on trust, on respect, and on the profound realization that true strength resided not in the ability to dominate, but in the courage to choose compassion, to build, and to truly see one another. No longer confined by past roles, we stood at the precipice of a future we were actively co-creating. We had both been invisible in our own ways. He, hiding humanity behind the mask of a mafia boss, I, concealing competence behind the uniform of a maid.
Now,
Seen by each other, by the world, by ourselves, we understood that this visibility, this profound connection, was the rarest treasure of all. And we had fought too hard to ever take it for granted again.